as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text 3. Last week we did the text 2. And Krishna is giving transcendental knowledge to Arjuna in this chapter. The title of this chapter is Transcendental Knowledge. So, Sa evayam mayate tya yoga prokta pura tanaha bhakto sime sakhacheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So Krishna is telling the reason why he's giving this knowledge to Arjuna. He's saying that you are my devotee and you are my friend. And because of this, you can understand the science. So until and unless we are a devotee of Krishna, we have that friendly relation to Krishna, friendly feeling toward Krishna, we will not be able to understand the mystery of this science. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. Why? Why is it like that? Why is Krishna saying demon, devotee? Why is he saying that? And why is he saying that only the devotee can understand this science, this mysterious science, this great mysterious science? Why is Krishna saying that? He's God and he's supposed to be impartial to everyone. He's supposed to look at everyone equally. He's supposed to not say, oh, this one is a demon, this one is a devotee. So what's happening? Why is he saying that? Well, because it all depends on our desire. Meena, you wanted to say something?
No, just that only, because it is their desire to know their Lord and they are willing to surrender. So yeah, that is why they will be able to understand. Whereas a person who does not have the desire and he's still listening, he'll be just wasting his time. So yeah, even though he'll be listening and his process will probably start, but if the desire from inside, it's not there, it will not fructify, I think. I don't know, maybe wrong.
And he probably won't even have the desire to hear. Because what is our demoniac mentality is, I'm the supreme. Why should I hear somebody else is supreme? Why should I waste time trying to understand that somebody else is God? I think I'm God and everybody should worship me and think I'm the greatest. At least that's what I'm thinking, that I'm great. So everyone should think I'm great. So I'm not going to waste my time trying to understand if somebody else is great. You know, that is what our demoniac mentality is.
So to such people, I think, if you really care, for those people, I think unko to zabardasti bithana hi chahiye, unki journey to chalu ho jayegi.
But then you see, so then that's the reason Lord Caitanya said, give mercy to everyone. How? Go out on the street, chant Hare Krishna. Whatever desire we have, at least the Harinam goes in our ear. That's the reason he said that Harinam Sankirtan is the process for this age, because how many actually have the desire to try and understand, oh, I'm not God, who's God actually? Very, very few, right? So that's why, that's Lord Chaitanya.
Even if they say that they are not, they are not God or whatever, but they do not want to believe that there is a power, there is a creator. They do not want to believe that. They just think it's happened mundane, just, okay, it's happened.
Do you know why?
It's just there, it's there.
Do you know why?
I don't know why.
Why some don't want to accept there is a God and that he is a person. Okay, some might still understand he is an energy. It's okay. But many don't want to accept that he's a person, because immediately when you accept that, oh, God is a person, everything belongs to him. Everything is made by him. Everything is his property. oh my God, everything is the God's property. It's not my property.
You're
Oh my
right. Actually, what a
God,
lovely
how can I
point.
enjoy? Yeah, that is the point, that the people don't want to accept that there is a God and that he's a person, because the moment we accept there is a God and that he's a person, we have to accept that he's maintaining us. We have to accept that everything belongs to him.
But the buddhi is also given by Lord himself, like, he is giving the people such a kind of thinking.
But the
But
voluntary choice is there. Voluntary choice is there.
yeah,
Love
the
can't be
independent,
forced. Yeah.
independent will is, free will is there. Buddhi, yes. Intelligence.
No,
is
what I mean to say, like, of course, Arjuna being the intelligent and he being a devotee and a friend of Lord Krishna, still it was Krishna who imparted all the questions what was being asked by him. So if somebody feels that okay, if somebody is insecure that okay, everything belongs to the Lord, so that thinking itself also, Lord himself is responsible to impart such feeling, maybe to set an example or something.
to who?
So like if I'm
No,
seeing
see, Arjuna is pure devotee of Krishna, but he is put into this illusion right now that he's saying, oh, what shall I do? I don't want to fight. You tell me, you give me knowledge. Why? Because Krishna wants to speak the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because he knows Kali Yuga is going to start. People like us are going to come in who will not know what to do, what not to do, so that he can leave behind instructions for us so that we can follow them. Arjuna is put into this position by Krishna. Now, when we are speaking about like us, ordinary conditioned souls, we, each of us, have an independent will. Krishna does not force us that we have to choose him. He does not force us that we have to come back to him. Why? Because he loves us a lot. And where there is love, there is no question of force. It's like, suppose there's a husband and wife, and then the husband holds a gun to the wife's head and says, okay, you better say you love me or else. So what is the poor girl gonna do? She'll say, yeah, I love you a lot. But where is she coming from? She's coming from a place of fear, not from a place of love. Yeah, so Krishna is not like that. He gives us the independent choice. Do we want to continue to think he does not exist? Do we want to continue to think that we are separate from him? Then he lets us choose that. But he wants us to come back. And that's the reason he's given us Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. He keeps coming himself. He keeps sending his pure devotees to remind us, to give us this knowledge so that we can come back quickly to him. But the choice is ours. So some do take the choice to get to know him more. And some, they say, no, I want to still enjoy here in the material world. Is that okay, Vishal?
Hare Krishna. Note.
Okay. Thank you. So the facility is given equally to everyone. The facility is given, the human body is given, the scriptures are given, everything is given. But now it's independent choice of everyone, whether they want to accept it or not accept it. So, continuing the purport, there are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. We know that Bhagavad Gita, there are so many different editions of Bhagavad Gita in the market. There are so many different Bhagavad Gita. There is even Bhagavad Gita which does not even speak anything about Krishna. It's just that many people, they're borrowing this title, Bhagavad Gita, but they're just writing their own song. Prabhupada would say that you're just borrowing the title, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita means song of God, but you're writing your own song. So change the title of the book. But because Bhagavad Gita is very famous, so they borrow this title. So commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Why? Why commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of demons is useless? Anyone?
Because the devotees would speak the truth as it is, and will not do it to simply how do you call prashansa in English, to just to glorify or just to satisfy somebody else, the writer or anybody. They would speak the truth.
Yes, so
as
true.
it is, like Srila Prabhupada did.
Yeah, that's the
And
point.
the demons will do it for some selfish reason, I guess.
Yeah, yes. Demons will put it because they don't want Krishna to be glorified. They will want themselves to be glorified, get the attention away from Krishna. So that's the reason commentation by devotees is real. And so this is what Krishna is saying here from the parampara. In this chapter, he's giving transcendental knowledge, but he's beginning of the chapter itself, he's saying how we should hear this knowledge. He's saying, hear it in the parampara, because I am the original speaker of this knowledge. And if you're hearing it in the parampara, then if you're hearing it in the disciplic succession, you're hearing the knowledge, the perfect knowledge, without any adulteration. So yes, thank you so much. That's right. So Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demoniac, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So if we hear in the disciplic succession, in the parampara, then we are sure to understand the absolute truth. We will understand the true position. Who am I truly? What is the position of the Supreme Lord? And what is my relationship with him? But if we do not hear from the parampara, as you rightly pointed, that then because I have some personal motive, I want to become great, I want to become famous. So I'm just writing it for that reason. I want people to say, oh, you're such a great writer. Some people will read it, I will become famous. So I'm doing it for that reason. But what am I doing in return? What am I doing? I'm misleading others. I'm misguiding their faith, which is a very terrible thing to do. Because this human body we have gotten is so rare. We're getting it after 8,400,000 species of life. It is a very rare body to achieve. And then to mislead somebody that instead of going back home, you continue staying here in the material world it's a really, really not a nice thing to do, because not only ourselves, it's not that we ourselves are not wanting to accept the truth, but we are misleading others from accepting the truth. So that's a great, great. And we see now so many people are doing that. There's so many people who want to comment on Bhagavad Gita without even touching on the Bhagavad Gita. So better always hear from the parampara to make sure that we are hearing the right knowledge. Time is short. We don't have time to waste. So we hear from parampara, understand what's the truth, and perfect our human life. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll read the next verse. Text 4. Does anyone want to try reading this Sanskrit?
Yes, sure. Arjuna Vacha aparama bhavato janma param janma vivasvata katham etad vijatyam tvam adau proktavaniti.
Thank you. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the science to him? So Arjuna, he's very sincere. Krishna told in the first verse, Krishna is saying, I spoke this science to sun god, and then sun god gave it to his son Manu, Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku, and like that it's coming. So Arjuna is saying, Krishna, you and me are almost similar in age. What are you speaking about? Vivaswan, the sun god, is much older than you. How did you speak this knowledge to him? That's why he's saying, how am I to understand that you gave Bhagavad Gita knowledge to him millions of years ago? You're just my age. What happened here? So Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna. So Arjuna is asking to clarify our doubts. We might think, oh, Krishna and Arjuna is the same age. Because if we do not understand the position of Krishna as the Supreme Lord, then how will we understand that he spoke this science millions of years ago? So we can see as Arjuna's inquiries are coming, why is he asking so many things? To clarify the doubts which we may have. So he's taking our position. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything, and the last word in transcendence. Arjuna says to Krishna that, oh, I accept that you are the Supreme Lord. I accept that you're the origin of everything. Even the great authorities, Asita, Narada, Devala have said that, and I believe it also, that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Arjuna knows, but he's taking our position. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. So Krishna is coming here on the earth as Devaki's son. And then he's the original person. Original person means the oldest person. So that Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present but from time immemorial. And the demons alone reject him. We have been hearing now in the Isopanisad, we read the introduction that how the Vedas are spoken by Krishna himself. And the Vedic knowledge is the most perfect knowledge. And even the Srimad Bhagavatam, how this original knowledge, Vedic knowledge, was given by Krishna to Brahmaji. So Krishna is the perfect person. He's the Supreme Lord, is accepted by all the authorities. All the authorities. As we have authority, for example, we need to learn computer science. We will enroll ourselves in a university which is dedicated to this computer science. If we want to learn medicine, some medical science, then we enroll in a university which is teaching medical science. Similarly, person who wants to understand the absolute truth, there are personalities who are teaching this absolute truth. The devotees are there. They are the ones who are speaking the absolute truth. But the demoniac, they don't want to accept it. So then, Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna puts this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. So Arjuna is asking for clarification so Krishna can himself clarify that, oh, how millions of years ago he was able to give this knowledge. Just for clear clarity's sake, it is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the science of Krishna. So what is Prabhupada saying? It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the science of Krishna. So if we are trying to understand Krishna, it is in our own interest. It's our own benefit. Why? So that we can understand who we truly are. We can understand the absolute truth. We can understand what's the reality. Therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds. To the demons, such explanations by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint. But those who are devotees heartily welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. So, for example, if somebody wants to know, suppose somebody wants to know what's my favorite dessert, for example, you can come and ask me, hey, what's your favorite dessert? And I will tell you, yes, this is my favorite dessert. But if you go on speculating and ask 100 other people thinking, or maybe this is her favorite dessert, maybe that's her favorite dessert, the shortest way is just ask me and I will tell you. And that's the surest way. So for us to understand the absolute truth is just to hear from him directly. And Krishna is speaking about himself in the Bhagavad Gita. He's saying about himself, perfect knowledge. So instead of us speculating, just hear from him. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. The atheists who consider Krishna an ordinary man may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Sachidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. So Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is not an ordinary man. He is not like us. His body is not material like our body. He has a form. He has a form, a spiritual form, which is called Sat Chid Ananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge. His form is eternal bliss and knowledge. He's superhuman and he's transcendental. His form, although looks like our form, 2 hands, 2 eyes, nose, legs, waist, chest. We were hearing in the morning Bhagavatam how the Lord's limbs were being described. So he has a form, looks like us. So we think, okay, my form is material, so Krishna's form is also material. We think that, but that's not the truth. Krishna, his form is spiritual. There is no difference between his soul and his body. We, right now, for our condition, there is a difference. We are the soul and we are inside this material body. So there is a difference for us. But for Krishna, it's not. And so his form is not under the laws of material nature. He's not forced to come at any particular time. He's not forced to leave at any particular time. Like we just found ourselves in this body and we found ourselves in the arms of our parents. Nobody took a questionnaire from us before we were put in the body. Oh, where would you like to be born? Which family, which gender, which community, which planet, which country? Nobody asked us. And similarly, Nobody's going to ask us before we leave this body, oh, where do you want to go? Which planet do you want to go to? Which body do you want in the next life? No, we are just going to be thrown. We'll be like kicked out of this body and put into another body. That's how the laws of material nature are. But for Krishna, he chooses. He chooses who his parents are going to be. He chooses where he's going to appear. He chooses what his activities are going to be, who his friends are going to be, who he's going to associate with. Why? Why does he get this special treatment? Because he's the owner of everything. The material nature belongs to him. He can decide, he can decide what to do. He's above the influence of time and space. So he is not an ordinary man. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He is a person. He's a person like we are. We are also persons. We will continue always to remain persons. After we give up this material body, we either are going to take up another material body or a spiritual body. The choice is ours, which kind of body we want in the next life. And so if we want a spiritual body, then we have to find out, oh, I would like to have a spiritual body in the next life. What do I have to do to get that? Means I have to go back to the spiritual world, because it's in the spiritual world that everyone has a spiritual body. How do we go there? Hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting in this Kali Yuga, that's the only way. This is the perfect way of self-realization in this age of Kali Yuga. So a devotee of Krishna like Arjuna is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. So a devotee, he can understand Krishna's transcendental position. Arjuna knows perfectly Krishna's transcendental position, but Arjuna is putting this question before the Lord simply it's an attempt to defy the atheistic attitude of persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being, subject to the modes of material nature. So it's to clarify the doubts, it's to remove all confusion that, oh, Krishna's form is material form, Maya, to take away all that speculation. Arjuna is putting forth this question for our benefit. Is that okay? Yeah. All of any questions or comments?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. So here Krishna is asking, now Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, he's replying Arjuna in this 5th text. Would anybody like to try the Sanskrit?
Shall I read if nobody else wants to read?
Sure.
Thanks. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me Vyatitani Janmani Tava Karjuna Tani Aham Veda Sarvani Natvam Veta Parantapa.
The personality of God had said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So now Krishna is giving transcendental knowledge to Arjuna. He's saying, many, many births, both you and I have passed, and I can remember all my previous appearances, but you cannot. Can we remember what our past life was? We can't. We can't even remember what we did 10 years ago at this time. Our memories are so short. In the Brahma Samhita 5.33, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakta Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. So Brahma Samhita is the prayers by Lord Brahma, which he spoke after he got the knowledge from Krishna, and he could see Krishna personally. He could see the spiritual world. And these are the prayers he spoke. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who's the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. So Brahmaji is saying he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Govinda, Krishna. All the Vedas declare that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the essence of the Vedas. And then Brahmaji is saying Krishna is the original person. Govinda, Shyam Sundar Krishna. He's the original person. He's absolute, infallible. Krishna never forgets his position. Krishna never ever forgets his position, never makes mistakes. He's perfect. We are fallible. We always forget. We are always making mistakes. But Krishna never. And Krishna is without beginning. He's eternal. Krishna is eternal. So he's without beginning. Then, although expanded into unlimited forms. Look, there's so many expansions from Krishna. So many incarnations of Krishna. First, he expands as Balaramji. Then he expands as all the Narayan forms. Then he expands as the Vishnu forms, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu. Then so many different incarnations, Lord Ramachandra, Lord Nishingadev, Kurma Avatar, Matsya. These are just a handful, but incarnations of Krishna are unlimited. Unlimited, as there are waves in the ocean, we can't count them. We can't even count. So Krishna has innumerable forms. Yet Krishna, Shyam Sundar, is the same original person. He's the same original person. So in spite that so many expansions are coming from Krishna, he still remains the original person. That's the inconceivable potency of Krishna. He's the oldest, and yet he appears as a fresh youth. We see him on the front page of the Bhagavad Gita. He appears as a young man. At that time, he's supposed to be more than 100 years old. So although he's the oldest person, he's the origin, he's there before everyone else, but he looks like a young person. He never gets old. He's a person. So it's being repeated for our benefit to understand that he is a person. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars. So if we are just going to try to understand by Krishna just by knowledge, then we won't be able to understand him. It's only when we engage in devotional service, when we hear from the devotees. They are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees, pure, unalloyed devotees of Krishna. Because the devotees, they have their relationship with Krishna. They know Krishna, so they can introduce us to Krishna. If we really want to know Krishna. Krishna says that I reveal myself as one surrender. I reveal myself accordingly. So if really someone wants to know him, he reveals himself. Again, it depends on our desire. But if somebody just wants to get famous, that I have a lot of knowledge, I have read so many books, I know so many hymns. So his desire is not to know Krishna, but to see how great he is. So that's what he's going to get. But what does a pure devotee want? A pure devotee wants to know Krishna, wants to love Krishna, wants to be with Krishna. So Krishna reveals himself. And so he gets to know Krishna, he gets to love Krishna. And so when we hear from these devotees, we will get to know Krishna, the absolute truth. It is also stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.39, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Avataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Pramaha Pumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations, such as Rama, Nishimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. So this is also a verse from Brahma Samhita. Brahmaji is saying that he worships Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is always calling him Govinda, Govinda, that the Supreme Lord. He's a cowherd boy. Oh, God is a cowherd boy? Really? Yes, that is the Supreme Lord. He loves cows. He loves to play on the flute. He loves to play with his friends. He loves to be in the forest. That's the Supreme Lord. And then what is Brahmaji saying? That there's so many incarnations are coming from him. Rama, Nishimha, and so many other incarnations are there. But the original personality of Godhead is Krishna. Original is Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam also says, Etecha amsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. There are so many incarnations, so many expansions. But the original personality of Godhead is Krishna. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So in the Vedas, it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color, yet still remains one. All those multi-forms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedeshu durlabham, adurlabham atma bhakto. So Krishna, he is the original Lord. God is one without a second. There are no two gods. There's only one God. God is one, but he has many, many expansions, many, many incarnations. And those incarnations are equally powerful like him, but yet the original is Krishna, Shyam Sundar. So how to understand Krishna? Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakta. That not merely by reading the Vedas can one understand Krishna. No, only by the devotees. By hearing from the devotees, because the devotee knows Krishna. So he can introduce us to Krishna. He can show us, he can explain us the position of Krishna. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees, and in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan, Arjuna, in a different capacity, was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. So the devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees, his personal associates, are always with him. Wherever Krishna goes to enact pastimes, they always are with him. Krishna is telling Arjuna, when I spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan, you were also there in a different capacity. You were there, you in a different way, but you were there. But you have forgotten it, but I remember it. So because we are the tiny living entities, we are fallible. We forget. Krishna never forgets. So that is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what had happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. So no matter how great we are, no matter how great, in comparison to the Supreme Lord, we are still very insignificant because the Lord is unlimited. The Lord is unlimited. Anyone who's a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. So we might think, okay, right now I'm in this body, so I will do bhakti. I will say, okay, Krishna is the Lord. Let me just wait, give up this body, then I will become as good as Krishna. No, that's never going to happen. Never. Our constitutional position is we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are tiny. Our size is infinitesimal. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the size of the soul is unchangeable. The size of the soul can never be changed. Can't be cut to pieces, can't be dried, can't be withered by the wind, can't be killed, can't be burnt, nothing. So we are eternally existing. All these things can happen to the body. Yeah, we can burn the body, we can dry the body, we can cut the body to pieces. But the soul, no, cannot. The soul continues to live, continues to live. And so what does liberated mean? Liberated means being situated in our true position that, yes, I have an eternal relationship with Krishna. That I do not belong here to the material world. I am not the body, I'm the soul. And I have an eternal relationship with Krishna. So let me act in that relationship. That is liberated. So the Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible Achyuta, which means that he never forgets himself, even though he's in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. So Krishna remembered millions of years ago, he gave this knowledge. Krishna never forgot it. Arjuna forgot it. So that's the reason Krishna is called infallible, Achyuta. He never forgets. Many people say, oh, Krishna comes here, and because he's in the material world, he's taken a material form. No, that is foolishness. Krishna never takes a material form. The material energy is his servant. She is his energy. He's the controller of the material energy. It's like saying that if the president is visiting the prison, then the prisoners who are there, they say, oh, the president is also a prisoner. But then it's their foolishness. The president was not forced to come to the prison. Nobody forced him to go there. It's not that, and so he came by his will, and he will leave also when he wants to leave. He's just come to see, oh, are you prisoners okay? Is there somebody really good who would like to come out in the normal society? That's the reason he comes there. Not that because he's visiting the prison, he's become a prisoner. And people who think that, then it's their foolishness. So the Lord is the same. He's coming in his spiritual form by his own will, and he leaves by his will in his spiritual form. So although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord, but by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature. So a devotee may sometimes forget Krishna's position, but he's very soon reminded again, and he's again, by Krishna's mercy, he's able to understand Krishna's position and his own position. But a non-devotee is not able to understand. Why? Why is he not able to understand? Anyone?
A non-devotee will not understand because he's not fully surrendered in the first place.
Yeah,
because if he was a devotee, he would understand Krishna, right?
Yeah. So again, it
non-devotee
comes
has
to the
other
point.
ideas. Yeah, the first point.
Again, it comes to the same point, because he does not want to understand. He does not want to understand this transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. That's why he cannot understand. Krishna fulfills our desires. Yeah, thank you for that. So it's just somebody who wants to understand. If we want to understand the absolute truth, if we have that sincere desire, Krishna makes all arrangements. He wants us to understand the truth. But if we don't want to, if the sun is out and we close our eyes and say, no, it's still night, what can anybody do then? They'll say, okay, well, that's what you want to believe then. Okay. So consequently, these descriptions in the Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. So Arjuna was also there millions of years ago. Krishna was also there millions of years ago. Krishna remembered, Arjuna forgot, because that's the eternal nature of the living entity, even though the living entity will be is a liberated living entity. We always have that tendency to forget. So, but Krishna never. He's infallible. He's the Supreme Lord. So then, we may also note herein that the living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change his Sachidananda body. He's Advaita, means there's no distinction between his body and himself. We forget, as soon as we change the body, we don't know who we were in the past life. In this life, we hold so many things so dear, we are attached to so many things. But in the past life also, we would have done the same things, that this one or that thing is very dear to me. But we forget it. As soon as the body is changed, completely forgotten. But the Lord never changes his body. His body is Satchidananda. So he never forgets. He never forgets. He's Advaita. Advaita means no distinction between his body and himself. His form is a spiritual form. So many people think if something is spiritual means cannot have a form. But that's not true. Spiritual form is in fact the true permanent form. It's just these material bodies we keep changing. So everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. Right now, we are inside the material body. We are the soul, but we are inside the body. And because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from that of the ordinary living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. So the Lord is not like us. We are not like the Lord. Our position is totally different. We are not the controller of this material energy, but Krishna is. He is the controller of this material energy. He's the controller. We have a difference between our body and our soul, but for Krishna, no. His form, what we see, Shyam Sundar form, that is a spiritual form, and that is himself, he himself. So the demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verse. So it said that some people are not able to accept this transcendental nature of the Lord, which he will speak about in the next verse. Krishna will continue speaking about his transcendental position in the next verse, which we will read next week. Are there any questions or comments for what we read today?
It was all wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Nalima. Thank
Really
you.
wonderful. No words to thank you.
Oh, Thank you for your encouraging words. Thank you for your encouragement.
Welcome always.
So if there are no questions or any other comments, then we'll stop here for today. Then we'll chant one round. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.